Welcome back to the channel, and today I have early access to the 1.9 update, which also brings a bunch of new parts and the DLC. And in this video, I'm just gonna go in and test everything I can about this update. So first, we're already on one of the new parts of the update. I think what's free in the update is the damage updated physics. We've got this race course on Race Island, which has 2 different races. We have a whole series of logic blocks as well. And then I think as part of the DLC, there's some new parts and decals that are included with that. So let me just spawn in an old build here, and let's crash this thing to test out the damage physics and how does it feel? All right, so this thing drives pretty fast. I'm gonna do a full speed crash just to push it to the limits right off the bat. And whoa, that was actually really interesting. But I still have some parts intact. That would be something that would have just immediately kicked me out of my seat probably before. But now when it comes to slower crashes, oh, like that would have definitely broken some parts before. This already just feels so much more natural. I can actually bump into things without falling apart. It's so nice. What about backing into stuff too? See, now the back is taking more damage. Dude, destruction derbies are gonna be so fun now. Destruction derbies were completely luck-based before. Oh, and I destroyed the front of my vehicle. Now destruction derbies are no longer gonna be luck-based. You can actually predict what's gonna happen when you hit things, it looks like. Or, well, actually, to be fair, hitting walls is one thing, but what about creation to creation? This might have some more unpredictability in it. Oh, that felt great. Actually, my vehicle didn't even take that much damage. Oh, okay, there we go. So there is some... Okay, maybe there's a little bit of unpredictability. So there might still be some luck aspects to destruction derbies, but it's going to be a very different experience either way. Oh, yeah, there we go. That was a hard hit. Let's do one more good hit here. See, all right, yeah, now we're getting a little bit more of what I would expect it to feel like, I guess. Oh, then that happens. See, now, why does that happen? I mean, is that vehicle still functional? Here, let's see if we can actually get in. Look at that. I mean, it's still functional. Okay, I don't think it's functional anymore. All right, when it comes to this race course, I'm gonna save that for a separate video where I'm gonna try to get on the leaderboards. I should probably wait until the update actually comes out to do that, because right now it just wouldn't be fair. So I'm gonna hop in the danger zone map to further test out some of the damage physics. And oh, I guess, you know what? This is the last plane, the last vehicle I spawned on the danger zone map. Because here we've got some better terrain to work with. Now, what happens if I crash a plane? Although, to be fair, this is the slowest plane I could possibly crash, and it is a literal brick, so maybe it'll survive. Let's see what happens here. No way. This is awesome. This is actually pretty awesome. All right, I want to see what happens when it takes enough damage to actually fall out of the sky. Okay, surprisingly, not yet. And there it goes. There's an explosion when it reaches like critical damage. All right, let's compare that to a more realistic plane. All right, so we're going much faster now. Let's see what happens. Yeah, see, that's what I would expect to happen. That was a pretty lethal collision there. All right, but I wanted to take this thing off of some like ramps and jumps and stuff, because that was like one of the main things with this update, was making it so that you can actually take jumps and have a landing without just completely getting destroyed. I'm alive. My suspension has issues. I've built this thing in a way that was causing a problem. The steering hinge was going up into the block. So now this should avoid that. Uh-oh. Oh, this is gonna be bad. Okay, it actually wasn't bad. It would have been bad if it wasn't the 1.9 update. Ooh, look at this. All right, let's just have some driving around here. I do have some stabilization going on in this thing, so it tends to try to level out. Can I do this jump right now? I think I can. I'm going really fast. Oh boy. Oh boy, no way I would survive this. No way. That's awesome. That's actually awesome. This is so cool. I can actually just drive around and, you know, hit things. Like, I'm just losing little pieces here and there, but I can drive recklessly. This is going to make racing interesting as well. Oh, this vehicle actually kind of does all right. All right, I'm just going to drive off the cliff now. You ready? There we go. No way I survived this, though. I'm already too damaged, right? Yeah, that's what I figured. All right, so far it's meeting, like, it's feeling natural. It's meeting expectations. What about this, though? I'm not falling that slow. Oh, I did lose my wheels. All right, feels realistic to me. Okay, loving the damage physics, the collision damage. I think I've tested that out enough. Let's move on to some parts because we have a lot of stuff to look at, and I don't want this to be an hour-long video. You can see we've got 2 new seats here. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm assuming these are part of the DLC. Unfortunately, it doesn't distinguish what's DLC and what's not if you have access to it. So we got this car seat, comfortable for long trips, whether it's a car, bus, train, or whatever. And then we got the racing seat, low and wide racing seat with protective roll cage. So let's compare that to like this. So this is wide, definitely a lot bigger than our standard go-kart seat. And then this is going to be great for like those trucks that people are building. But each seat as well has a new setting where you can turn it into a passenger seat. So you can see that takes away the steering wheel. Okay, let's actually duplicate this. Add the steering wheel back on that one. And then what does this one look like without it? Okay, it just takes away the steering wheel. So now you can see I'm in here. I turn the little steering wheel. I get in this one. I got no steering wheel. All right, and then over on this one, I turn the steering wheel. And then can I even get in this one? Yeah, there we go. And then I just kind of sit there. All right, let's go into frame. What do we got here? Oh, there's multiple types. Small fender, medium fender, large fender, long hood, modern hood. So these are wheel wells. So I tried to make a wheel well type thing here. So I guess the way to do it would be like this. Another new feature is this down here. Set selected colors and skins as default. So if I select this and then I press this button, now instead of using my personal default colors, if I go into my building blocks, you can see they've all adopted that color scheme. So now I can just bring this over here like that. All right, there's some parts missing that didn't have attachment points anymore because this vehicle was not built with these wheel wells in mind. But as you can see, they fit great. They definitely look a lot more natural. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. That is awesome. Awesome. Oh, another thing. Here, let's go try something. Almost forgot about it. Glad I just remembered. Oh boy, this vehicle drives really nice with these wings. All right, now let me try this here. Ready? I'm just gonna go here. I'm gonna stop. Look at that. The wheels actually stop. My back wheels are kind of lifting up because of my my gyro stabilizers. Do I have a button for that? I do have a button for that. There we go. So normally I would not be anywhere close to stable right now. I would just be rolling backwards, but we have auto braking on the wheels, which is really nice. And do they have a setting for that? Oh, I'll turn it off and you can see what would normally happen. So let me turn that off and then I try to stop. Wait, why are they still... All right, right now the auto brake toggle doesn't seem to make a difference for me. I don't know if that's just a pre-release little bug that needs to be fixed or if I'm using it wrong. All right, so the other thing we have is actual hoods. So I don't know if it's gonna fit this vehicle. We have long hood and we have modern hood. So here's modern hood. Oh yeah, I could totally, if I just, actually that kind of fits nicely right there. And then if I just bring this here, look at that. I mean, I'd have to put something underneath it to make it look a little bit more natural, but that looks pretty cool. In dimensions, it fits this vehicle pretty nice. And the other thing we have is the long hood. This would be more for trucks, presumably. This looks a little bit different. Here, let's put them next to each other. All right, that's looking cool. Oh, wait, these were not highlighted for me, but they are totally a thing. So we have a windshield block. Yeah, look at that thing. That definitely looks like a windshield. Go ahead and make it clear. Oh, we got a bunch of other color things too, or we could also make this like a metallic reflective windshield, or we can go, let's actually, so this is chrome, but then there's metallic. Whoa, you see the difference there? Oh, that looks great. Okay, let's color the whole thing metallic. So this is what it would be like if it was chrome. Man, the difference between chrome and metallic is actually really cool. The metallic just has a shine, like a glare to it. Like the chrome is shiny, but it's dark shiny. Here, let me choose a brighter color. Let's go with like bright blue. Here's chrome, bright blue. Here, let me get rid of this shield. I'm just like slowly destroying this vehicle to show it off. All right, yeah, so there we go. There's chrome, blue, and here is metallic blue. Metallic is just, it kind of looks more chromey to me, to be honest. And then we also have matte. So there's just zero reflection on this. And then we have carbon fiber, which you can color the carbon fiber. I think like black or gray is the more natural carbon fiber looking color. So some parts will have a secondary color carbon fiber thing here. But yeah, you can see the carbon fiber texture very clearly. What is red carbon fiber looks pretty cool too. And then we have iridescent, and this is probably one of the ones I was looking most forward to. So this, I think you choose 2 different colors. So I'm gonna choose like red and bright blue. And then look at that. So now, depending on the angle that you look at it, this is a really extreme example. But yeah, depending on the angle and the reflections, it shows you one of those 2 colors, and it just kind of morphs between them. So if I did like red and light red, it gives it just like really shiny effect, or red and orange. We have like a fiery kind of effect. Blue and orange might actually look kind of interesting. There we go. What about like if I do a bright red and then like black? Yeah, so there's going to be some really fun iridescent color combinations with some of these. All right, and then the other parts we have are this L bracket and this U bracket. It doesn't say here particularly, but in one of the dev logs, one of the dev streams, I believe these are functionally like shields, but they're going to allow some different types of placement as well. And also, these things especially can have interesting applications, some interesting visuals. All right, so moving on. All right, here we go. We got some mechanical parts. So we definitely have racing hinge, new hinge, which I did notice in one of the trailers. Oh, and new large suspension. Holy cow, look at this thing. Let's do it. Wait, this thing, like your attachment points are on the top and the bottom. So this one has the side attachments. So this is actually really extreme. All right, here we go. Here's our new vehicle. Check it out. The suspension goes crazy. Oh, I'm glad I have auto stabilization. All right, I'm actually surprised at how not stiff it is. Let's go ahead and bump up the stiffness. I was assuming that this suspension would be really, really stiff, and well, I mean, at maximum stiffness, it kind of is. You can see it flex just a little bit, but this is definitely going to have its place for some larger creations. Let's turn the stiffness all the way down. It still has some resistance. If we're gonna have suspension this big, we're gonna need a bigger mug to go with it. Just saying. All right, so then the other thing is the steering hinge. So we got racing hinge, allows limited angle of rotation, perfect for wheels of a fast race car. So why is this one perfect for a fast race car, whereas this one, actually, I think I know why. So I got a little dragster here, and you can see in the front, it's got wheels that turn like that. I'm not rolling across the ground, but you can see how much the wheels are actually getting pushed across the ground. Now, I suspect, we'll see how it goes, if I put the racing hinges on here. All right, I suspect that the wheels are gonna travel less. Okay, never mind. I was wrong. I now think they're pretty much functionally the same. They just separate your wheels a little bit farther and provide a new aesthetic. And actually, this does feel pretty nice. Oh. You know what's funny? I was totally ready to fall apart there. Like, I have not adapted yet that there's new damage physics. I was ready to just completely lose everything there, but we are in a very different damage environment right now. I'm even gonna do this. Woo! Uh-oh. Oh, this can't end well, can it? I have no suspension on this thing. Oh! Okay, that was close. I'm upside down, though. All right, well, it definitely looks better on this car. So that's the racing hinge. Now we've got lift and drag. So this is where oh, here we go. Look at this. Look at this stupid looking spoiler on the front of this vehicle. It does not fit here at all. It looks pretty good back here, but it just looks stupid as a front spoiler. While that is where this thing, it doesn't attach. I can't fit it. Hold on, one second. Let me just move that back. All right, there, and that is where this thing comes into play. All right, now I look cool. These wheels are not designed for dirt, that's for sure. Oh my goodness, that was pretty epic. That was pretty epic. Do you see all like the banging that's happening around because I'm so low to the ground? I would have totally fallen apart there pre 1.9. I could hear it. I could hear the falling apart happening. Look at this. This is crazy. I feel like stunt stuff is gonna be so much more doable. All right, I feel like I should have lost a part there. That was a little bit too resilient. Okay, that was a little extreme. Still learning what my expectations need to be with when I crash. All right, so anyway, that's one of the spoilers. So front wing, then we got this rear wing. So this actually seems a little bit just even better for back here as well. Oh yeah, that looks really cool. Wait, let me look at the setting. Are there settings on this? Nope. Are there settings on this? Nope. Okay. So this looks pretty suitable for this style of car, but then we got this, which is a supercar spoiler, provides downforce. All right, looks like we get a spot right there. Oh, and then in the middle. So I'd have to move these in the middle, but I don't have attachment points in the middle, unfortunately. Yeah, so you can attach it in the middle or on the sides there. But yeah, that one actually does look really cool, but definitely not for this style of car. Yeah, this one has all kinds of attachments on the bottom and on the side as well. And this thing has all kinds of attachments on the bottom and then in the back there and on the sides. All right, so then under gadgets, what is this? Pop-up car light. We got pop-up car light. So I'm assuming that your secondary color, probably the light color. There we go. Oh, that's cool. And they don't turn on until they're fully in position, so you can have that visual effect. That's pretty awesome. Definitely not something meant for this car. If we're gonna slap this in the front of a car, what parts do we need to put next to it for it to be flush? I was like assuming this, but it is a little bit different, isn't it? Do we even have that? Oh wait, here we go. Rounded wedge. This was not listed as new parts in here for me, but these are definitely some new parts. So previously, this was our only rounded kind of wedge part here, but now we've got this, which you can see is distinctly different. Gonna be much more natural, I think, for some hoods, and that is clearly the one that is meant to go next to here. So we got rounded wedge 2x1x2. Oh, and then here we go. We got rounded wedge corner. So that could couple. I can see this coupling with two different blocks. So if you have this, you can see that fits perfectly there. And then if you want it to taper down into this, look at that. Now you have a smooth transition between these two sizes of rounded corners. So then we also have rounded wedge corner 3x2x2. Okay, so this is just longer. It's the same beginning and end, but as you can see, we can just put these parts down here. It's a little bit longer, and then you got a 4 version of it. Yeah, look at that. And then you could totally duplicate it and create some pretty cool shapes. Like this could be a cockpit as well. Your own windshield here. And you could also create some industrial looking like piping and tubing. Attach this somewhere. You got a funnel. You could also take these, put them this way. And then, oh, here we go. Look at this. Take some of our cones, cap them off. Except now this cannot attach to anything because it has no, I filled in all the attachment points. Rockets, the head of a rocket could go really well here. All right, I really got to go through all of the sections and make sure I don't miss anything because not all of them were labeled as new parts, even though they very clearly are. So hopefully I don't miss anything. I'm trying to give a brief look at just every single part of this update. And I don't see anything else here. All right, logic. So we definitely have new logic. We now have a NOR logic gate. Outputs if all input are 0. So that's just gonna be a really easy way to invert signals in your logic. I've had plenty of creations where I needed to do that. When something was off, I wanted something else to be on. And I had to do a weird way of rerouting other logic things in order to do that. But now it's just a single block, which is great. So we have comparison and arithmetic logic gate. Now these two are probably ones that are gonna be a little bit over my expertise when it comes to logic. I know that they are super, super useful for more complicated things, but this is probably gonna take some learning for me to actually figure out ways to use them or that I would need to use them. So this compares an inputs to configured value and outputs if less, equal, or greater. So let's look at the settings on it. So we can set our threshold here, which I guess is the input threshold that it's receiving. So whatever 50 means in this context, if it is receiving a signal less than 50, it should output. So this should just be on by default. Hey, I was right. Wait, the logic arrows look way more vibrant now. So now if I change it to, it'll output if it is greater than 50, it should just be off. So I have a speed sensor here. I'm gonna put this speed sensor into this comparison logic gate. Let's do it 0.5. When I get over 50 miles per hour, you can see it outputs. But if I set this output to 0.45, I think it will now, when I go over 50, and it doesn't trigger the output. Okay, so that is how you have to deal with that. So this can go from -100 to 100, but keep in mind that most gates only output -1 to 1. So you're going to be working within those values, not within -100 to 100 if you're going from a gate. Yeah, so you can do less than, greater than, equals, not equals, less than or equals, I'm assuming that means, or greater than or equals. Then we have the arithmetic logic gate. Adds, subtracts, multiplies, or divides according to the following formula. So it has a constant output. Then there's the operation, and then it essentially multiplies whatever its input is by the operation. So this can go from -1000 to 1000. Its default is 1. So this is essentially going to be giving a constant output at all times. If we need something to be on always, this is our new sensor. Instead of the altitude sensor, like this thing pretty much just always gives an output. Now, if I put this in here, this will essentially, it'll add 1 to it, but only when I break my speed barrier. So you know what? There's another block here that is actually going to be pretty useful, I think. The number display. So we can actually see values of what's going on here. So this displays the current input. So what kind of settings does it have? Rounding, nearest, floor, ceiling. Okay, we can round it if we don't want exact numbers. So I'm going to set this to output here so we can see the value. So it should be 1. And then when I break 40 or 50 miles per hour, whatever I have it set at, it should go up to 2. All right, it has to be in the forward direction. There we go. Look at that, just as predicted. And if I set the output to this to 0.5, it should output to 2.5 once I break, or 1.5 rather, once I break that value. Because it's adding 0.5 to that. And conversely, if I set this to subtract, it'll now go down to 0.5. There we go, once I break 40 miles per hour, or 51 miles per hour. If I multiply, this should also get it down to 0.5 because it is 1 times 0.5, which is dividing it in half. And if I divide, it should go up to 2. There we go. So this is going to be actually really useful if you're using arithmetics and comparison logic gates. This is a great way to check your work. Have the outputs going into one of these to see if you're getting the values that you're meaning to get. So I just set rounding to nearest, and I'm going to set it back to add. So it should go from 1 to 1.5, but it rounds it up to 2. Then if I set the rounding to floor, it keeps it at 1 because it's rounding down to 1. And I'm assuming ceiling is going to also keep it at 2. And yep, there we go, 2. But what if I have this output to 0.01? So it's just above 1 and it's on ceiling. So it still rounds it up. So basically what floor or ceiling means is whatever value it is between two numbers, floor will always round it down. Even if it's 1.99999, it rounds it down to 1. And then ceiling means even if it's 1.00001, once it breaks the threshold of 1, it's going to round it up to the next number. So I can see that being useful in some particular cases. All right, so now we have gravity sensor, an adjustable gravity sensor that can be connected to other blocks. So this thing clearly has more of a use in space, probably. So right now we are at 1G, I'm pretty sure. So threshold 1. So if I bump this up to 2, you can see it's at halfway. And then, yeah, you're just setting, it'll output when you meet a certain threshold. So I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Could definitely use to make some like automated things once you enter an atmosphere that has any gravity at all compared to space, then it can trigger landing gear or thrusters to slow down or anything like that. All right, accumulator. This block seems like it is going to have a like unique functionality, like enable things that you really couldn't do before. So what it says is accumulates all inputs, scales the accumulation, then adds it to stored value, then outputs stored value. Oh, here, I'm just gonna go ahead and press, say space. So your scale is with one input, it accumulates 1. So you can essentially set how fast you get from your minimum to your maximum, and you can change it to use steps, increments, or decrements in scale. So this would be useful if you want something to have like designated angles rather than like smooth. So let me just see what happens now if I press space. All right, so minimum is -100, maximum is 100. Let's say minimum is 0 and maximum is 1. That might make more sense for most things. There we go. Okay, that's why I was pressing it and I couldn't see anything, because I was on this massive scale and I was only adding 1 in a scale of 200. One of the immediate things I can see this being super useful for, so now I need a negative as well. So negative, if I hold it, it goes up. If I hold it, it goes down. But if I release it, it keeps the value that I left it at. Now, this is going to be game changing for what I believe is like planes and helicopters. Because remember when I was doing collective pitch for all my helicopters, because I could keep the rotors like going and then I could change how much power is being put into them. Whereas if I use a normal helicopter servo, here, let me just spawn in a helicopter. I'll delete this off here. So this thing, I turn it on and then I use collective pitch to go up and down. And the reason I did that is because with a normal helicopter blade, here we go, I'll spawn in. This is a helicopter I built before. So this one, I press space and I go, I release space and they stop. Let's go ahead and use the accumulator on these now. I'm going to remove the inputs from them completely. I will just slap an accumulator down right there, have it go between 0 and 1. And I'll do space to go up, control to go down, and then route it to both servos. So now when I tap it, uh-oh, one of them needs to be opposite. Here, if I turn this upside down, will you rotate the other direction, please? There we go. All right, so now you can see it is just kind of like starting at like a low pace. So I gotta increase it until I lift up, and then I can decrease it. And look at this. Now we can actually choose our height to hover at, which is why I would build the collective pitch version, which was a lot more complicated. But now I can get that same functionality here, and then I can go and increase the throttle input and decrease the throttle input, and it just maintains that. So that's gonna be great. So another really great thing for planes. Landing with planes is actually going to be amazing. So this plane, for instance, let's go ahead and spawn it in. All right, I'll go ahead and take off. So right now it's just 100% on if I'm pressing the button, 100% off if I'm not pressing the button. So when I go to land, I keep having to like feathering the throttle to control my speed. So let me just do a landing here really quick. So now to slow down, I turn my throttle off completely. And essentially, I'm actually just essentially soaring. And then like I do that a little bit to get my throttle back up before I hit the ground too hard. But with an accumulator, I'm gonna slap an accumulator down there, but the number display can give you a more discrete value of where you're at in your throttle capacity. So if I have the accumulator go out to the number display, as well as to my propeller and my thrusters, and then I make sure that the accumulator is from 0 to 1. Now you can see the value, then as I add it in, this is my percentage of my throttle. So I'm at 25% throttle right now, and I can bump it up to 100% throttle just like that. And then if I want to start slowing down, I can fly at like a slower cruising pace rather than full speed. So this would be great for slowing down coming into a landing. All right, I'm back up at full speed. All right, now let's start slowing down to come in for a landing. Oh, a little bit too much there. Maybe like 23%. So we get some throttle. Uh-oh. Oh. Look at this. Look at that. That is a type of landing that would have been really, really difficult to get without this. Like, to be able to maintain a gentle enough thrust to keep myself elevated, but at a steady speed, instead of just going like bloop, 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 with just on and off. Like, that's just a much better way of doing it. Yeah, so I think this is going to be the most common use of the accumulator is planes and helicopters. Just anything with propellers where you want to be able to set your throttle amount. All right, so one thing I'm finding out is conversely to how it would normally happen if you didn't have an accumulator, you do not want to select hold position, because right now, if I select hold position, this servo is set to rotate between 0 and 100 degrees. Now I just give it the slightest input. You can see it rotated the full 180 degrees. Now this accumulator actually wanted to go from -1 to 1. So that way I can reverse it in the other direction. But you can see it goes 180 that direction, and then it goes all the way back plus 180 again to the other direction. Now if I turn off hold position, now you can see it actually goes in proportion to the input I give it. Now, what if there was for some reason, I actually wanted there to be designated angles and it could only go to those specific angles? I would then change this to use steps. And then the other thing is if I use scale 1, like normal, that's not going to work because it's going to go maximum on, back to 0, maximum in the opposite direction. But say I wanted to go 10 degrees at a time, I would just put the scale to 10%. And now I can go 10 degrees, 20 degrees. So every single time I press the button, it's going to add another 10 degrees. 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. And actually, it's not 10 degrees. It's 10% of 180 degrees. So it'd be each one of these is 18 degrees, I guess. Yeah, and then I can keep going back in the other direction. So I could also do probably a more practical one is 45 degrees, which I guess is a quarter of 180 degrees. So I would do 0.25 here. So then this should be 45, 90, another 45, another 90. And there we go. And then the last thing in the logic category is the hue light panel, a light that changes depending on the amount of input provided. Hue changes for positive input. Grayscale colors are used for negative input. Okay, so let's go ahead and output this to here. So now, as I go through, you can see it just kind of cycles through the rainbow there. And if I go negative, we can cycle the brightness. Oh, okay, so every single value between 0 and 1, it recycles that. So that's interesting. So it's not 0, you don't want to go out to 100 necessarily. All right, so now we move over to accessories. So it looks like we've got some new things here. Smoke generator and large exhaust. So I feel like this thing could use some large exhaust because I tried to build some exhaust in here with like pipes and these things. So let's actually, I have 2 of them. So let's delete one of them, then we can compare. Oh my goodness, that is large. Look at the difference between those 2 things. That is crazy. But you can see it has the same visual effect. And then we've got smoke generator. All right, so let's see here. Oh yeah, you can set it off by default and you press the button and it turns it on. So I think the smoke is colorable. So I'll set the primary color to like a silver, metallic, and then I'll set the smoke color to yellow. Or let's do like green for like toxic fumes. There we go. Toxic fumes coming out of this thing now. Yeah, or we could do white smoke. Or blue smoke. Yeah, so whatever color smoke you want. All right, then the other new thing looks like the ornaments. We have this little guy and this little guy. So Trailmaker dashboard figure and Chirpo dashboard figure. So look at him. This guy looks kind of sad, to be honest. I mean, they both have extremely blank stares, if I'm going to be honest. They're both pretty emotionless. Although the eyebrows on this one give subtle sadness. Very subtle sadness on this one. All right, what is it like driving something this big off of a ledge like this? Not bad. This thing could take a beating. Man, listen to the echo. Oh, the echo in here. It's so good. This thing is not taking a lot of damage. Actually surprised at how durable this is. I cannot wait to do some destruction derbies in this. All right, and then one of the last things to look at are decals. So we got Motorhead Pack DLC here. So we've got all kinds of crazy looking decals. Here, you know what? I should probably paint this like white matte. Can we apply more than one decal? No, we cannot. The speculation about having more than one decal, I don't think is applicable. It's not true. All right, so we got a cool Power Core Energy Systems decal. We have another version of it. Ooh. Whoa. Oh, this looks cool. It has like an iridescent built-in kind of paint. So we can change the color of Cosmocorp and we can change the color of those swoops. Oh, Melvin's. Looks like a diner. A billboard for a diner down the road. You want to go to Melvin's? Heard they got some good mushrooms there. Grip King. That's a pretty cool work of art. Another Grip King. So it looks like we're getting some more factions, some more lore. Quantumall. More Quantumall. Oh, it's got words down there. Okay, I was wondering. We have a white background, though. A license plate decal you can add to things. Headlights. Oh, it looks like they actually kind of glow, too. So we got different headlight thing. Oh, look at that. So you can put these on the front of your car. Here, let me spawn in a car for these ones. All right, so if this thing had headlights, probably not the best shaped car for some headlights. Or we could do these ones. These ones probably actually fit better. There we go. I got headlights. Look at the headlights. Obviously, a more realistic car would be much better suited for these headlight decals. I just don't have those cars. All right, so I think I gave a brief overview covering everything in the Motorhead DLC and 1.9 update. Is there anything in particular that you would like to see a deeper dive on? Let me know down in the comments below on things you'd like to see. I definitely want to obviously do some multiplayer stuff with the destruction and things like that, but is there anything you'd like to see tested to the extremes? Let me know what you're looking forward to most down in the comments below, because there's going to be a whole bunch of new kinds of videos I can make, and I'm going to be looking for ideas. If you guys enjoyed this video, you'll probably enjoy some more you can find right here on the end screen. Hope this video has earned your subscription. Anyway, this has been ScrapMan, and I'll see you next time. Bye.